Afternoon, squad. I brought you guys here today to give you guys a quick briefing on leadership styles. I'm going to be your briefer, Sergeant Cobb. This briefing is unclassified, and I gave you guys all a handout with a brief synopsis on what we're going to be talking about. I suggest that you guys take notes. That way you can show this to your battle buddies and you can reference it back in the future. It's important that we give this brief because you guys will one day soon be leaders, and you have to decide on what type of leadership is best for you, best for your organization, and best for the group. The four type of leadership styles we're going to be talking about is transactional, autocratic, servient, and democratic. These have their own strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to try to go over them as best I can. I'm going to give you the pros, I'm going to give you the cons, I'm going to give you the best size group that it usually works with, from small, medium, or large. And I'm also going to try to compare and contrast them to each other so you get a better understanding how they are similar, how they're different, and how it will be good to mix them. You don't want to be one type of leader their entire career. You might want to transition here or there based on the environment you're in and based on the command and so on and so forth. So the first type of leadership style we're going to be talking about is transactional. Transactional is a reward and punishment-based system. If you are doing, good things, you're going to get good counseling statements. You're going to get good, awards. If you're doing bad, you're being a dirtbag, you're not doing the right thing, you will get negative counseling statements. You will get possible AR-15s, all depending on that leader. It is a very rigid chain of command system. It focuses mostly on supervision and organization within it. The strengths for this type of leadership is strong structures because of that rigid chain of command, and it works pretty good in high adrenaline situations because of the organization within the organization. Some cons for this type of leadership style is that sometimes the leaders seem unmoving or unchanging because of just the way that they're always overwatching you. They usually think that they're doing the right thing and they don't really take that much input. But so when you're doing this type of leadership, you want to try to be open. You do still want to be open to input, but you also want to keep that strong structure chain of command. So use chain of command. Don't go to the top person. It probably won't work out for you too well. And if you're that top person, then try to listen to people directly below you. Don't go to the lowest person. The next type of leadership style we're talking about is an autocratic style leader. This is pretty much one-man power. You take very little input. You do what you think is correct, and you try to make everyone do it the way you want it done. It works mostly in small groups. It wouldn't work too well in a large group because then you're going to see more like a dictator, or people are just not going to like you in general if you do it this way. So I would do it only in small groups, and maybe only in deployable type of situation or a dangerous type of situation where you need to make decisions quickly. That's a pro for this one, fast decision-making process. It's also fairly good at keeping deadlines because you're really watching over the people that you're in charge of. So you know exactly what they're doing at all times and stuff like that. The bad things with this type of leadership style is that if you have a leader that is not experienced, you're probably not going to do too well underneath them. And if you, for instance, think that you want to be an autocratic leader, you need to know that you have to be on top of your game. You have to know what you're doing, because a bad leader that's trying to be an autocratic leader, it's going to turn out bad for everybody involved. So you really need to be on top of your game for this. It doesn't really relate too well with transactional leadership style because it's more of a king type situation where in transactional you have a whole bunch of different levels. You can be a transactional leader or you can be an autocratic leader in transactional, but not at the top. He has to be at a lower level. So they don't really mix that well, I don't think. Next type of leader style we're going to talk about is a servant leader. This is pretty much the exact opposite of an autocratic leader. You try to give away some of your supervision and stuff like that to allow your people underneath you more freedom to develop their skills and develop their management skills. It works fairly well in small groups. It can have it in big groups, but mostly in small groups it works well. You need, the main point of it is that you're looking out for the well-being of your people. So if you get to a unit that is, demotivated, they don't like being in the Army, so on and so forth, we all been to units like that probably, and you need to make them feel happy, you need to bring up their spirits. This is the type of leadership style you want to take over. You want to talk to the soldiers, you want to, see if their family's all right, make them feel good, it'll bring up the morale, and then maybe you switch to a more transactional type of leadership style after that. Or maybe an autocratic, you guys get deployed, they won't be demotivated, so it will definitely help in that. Problem with this type of leadership style is that it is decentralized, so you're not getting a lot of supervision over the people that you are working with. So if you give a group a mission and you're not supervising directly, they may not know what they're doing. They could jack up that mission, and so you really have to be careful, you have to be on the ball with it. You don't want to breathe down their necks, because that's not going to, they don't like that. They don't like being micromanaged, but you do need to watch out and make sure that the people you are trying to develop don't make mistakes that's going to cost them down the line or develop bad habits. So it's a struggle. You have to really watch out. Sergeant leader can work in transactional leadership style at the lower levels, just like autocratic, mostly small groups. So now we're going to go to the last type of leadership style, the democratic. This works mostly in large groups, higher chain of command type of situation. It's where you're drawing input from a wide group of people with a lot of experience. There's a lot of free-flowing ideas in this type of leadership style. The main point of it is, if you're a leader in charge of a large group of people, you get to pick who you want to take over certain jobs. For instance, if you need to build a bridge and you have engineers and you have truck drivers and you have MPs, you don't want to send the MPs and the truck drivers to go build a bridge, you want to send the engineers. So you pick that group of people, they come up with a plan, then they come to you with that plan, and then you make a final decision on whether or not you want to go forward with that. You, as a leader, don't need to be a subject matter expert on everything, because it's impossible to be a subject matter on everything. So you are going to pick people that are best suited for that job to get it done. And they're going to bring you the best ideas they can come up with, and you go forward with that, or you decide you need to make up better ideas. It's up to you as that leader. So just to go over all of the leadership styles, we got transactional, rigid chains of command, a lot of supervision, and organized, as organized as possible. It's good for large groups. We have autocratic, one-man power show, good for deployment areas, really only good for small groups, and I would take it to a short amount of time. I wouldn't go too far. I wouldn't want to be autocratic. I want to be under an autocratic leader for a very long time. That's how you demotivate people most of the time. People like to get big micromanaged. Servant leader, needs of others. You get to a place with a lot of bad energy. I'd be a servant leader, try to bring up the energy, make people happier. It's usually the best way to go with it. And then we got the democratic leader, where if you have a large group of people with a lot of experience and you have problems that you are not a subject matter expert on, you can use that type of leadership style to get the job done as best as possible. Do I have any questions?
All right, Sergeant, I got a question for you. What style of leadership do you use?
So I try to use a servant leader, because on top of bringing up spirits and making people happy, and that's important at the lower levels, because a lot of people get in the Army, they go to, it's not what they expect, and I like to make people feel happier, like the Army, so they go to that second duty station, see more of the Army. It also develops their skills in management, and it really works out. Do I have any more questions?
Robert, I got one more question.
All right, go ahead.
Which style of leadership do you see as the least effective?
I don't believe there is a least effective leadership style, because any situation can cause, the environment you're in demands what kind of leader you need to be at that time, and situations change. So I personally don't like autocratic leaders, but I can see the use of it in combat situation or an extremely high stress situation. So it really depends on the situation. Do I have any more questions?
Negative, Sergeant.
All right, then this concludes my brief.
Well,